Parker Schnabel didn't earn his reputation or his fortune by handing out favors on Gold Rush. He's known for being laser-focused on profits, even if that means playing hardball with longtime friends. That tough-ass-nails business mindset was on full display when Kevin Beets, the son of Parker's longtime rival and occasional partner Tony Beets, found himself in a bind and came knocking on Parker's door for help. Kevin Beets had finally stepped out of the massive shadow of his father, Tony Beets, determined to prove he could be a boss in his own right. Kevin launched a solo operation, setting up his own claim and running his own crew, but independence in the goldfields is no small task, and Kevin quickly discovered just how brutal it can be when things go wrong. The biggest problem came early. Kevin's aging a 40 rock truck, a vital piece of equipment, broke down at the worst possible time. The truck was more than 20 years old, and when it failed in the middle of active mining, the operation came to a screeching halt with no backup and no time to spare. Kevin's entire season and his shot at proving himself was suddenly hanging by a thread. With few options and the pressure mounting, Kevin turned to someone he's known for years, Parker Schnabel. The two have a long history stemming from their father's working relationship, but any hopes that Parker might offer him a friend deal quickly vanished. Kevin told Parker he had $100,000 to spend, significantly less than the $300,000 price tag for a new fully equipped rock truck. Kevin wasn't expecting a miracle, but he was likely hoping for a fair deal. Instead, Parker offered him another A40 truck, also over 2 decades old, and priced it at $110,000, more than Kevin's entire budget. When Kevin asked if Parker could come down to $15,000, Parker's answer was blunt and final: "I don't haggle, buy it or don't buy it. I don't really care." That statement spoke volumes. Even though Kevin was clearly in a vulnerable position, Parker refused to cut him even a small break. The truck wasn't new, it wasn't guaranteed to last, but Parker saw an opportunity, and he wasn't about to let it go. This moment revealed the stark truth about doing business in the goldfields: friendship stops where profit begins. Ultimately, Kevin had no choice. He agreed to the full $110,000 asking price. The only concession Parker gave was allowing Kevin to defer the payment until later in the season, a small mercy, but one with very clear strings attached. In other words, there would be no refunds, no excuses, and no extensions. The pressure was now fully on Kevin's shoulders to produce enough gold to cover the cost, and fast. Kevin's crew hauled the truck back to camp with cautious optimism. The engine started up strong, and the team allowed themselves a moment of relief. "The engine sounds great," someone commented, trying to stay positive. For Kevin, the moment was bittersweet. "This shows I can make my own deals," he said. "I don't always have to rely on Tony. Stepping out on our own, that's part of being the boss of a company." But underneath that optimism was a serious time crunch. Kevin now owes Parker Schnabel $110,000, with a hard deadline tied to the end of the season. If Kevin can't get gold in the box soon, the deal that kept his season alive could be the one that sinks it. From Parker's perspective, the deal made perfect sense. He offloaded an old truck for a premium price and secured guaranteed income with zero risk. Even if the truck failed the next day, the contract stood, and by giving Kevin a short payment delay, he appeared reasonable without actually making a financial sacrifice. In the end, Parker Schnabel didn't break any rules. He didn't deceive or manipulate. He simply did what he always does: prioritize the bottom line. But for fans watching the drama unfold, it was a stark reminder that in Parker's world, business always comes first, even before friendship. What's next for Kevin? Kevin Beets now faces one of the most high-pressure stretches of his mining career. He has the equipment, but he's also carrying serious debt. With the season ticking down, every ounce of gold counts, not just for profit, but to pay off Parker and prove he can stand on his own. Whether Kevin rises to the challenge or gets buried under the weight of the deal remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: Parker Schnabel won this round, not by being generous, but by being the sharpest negotiator in the Yukon. For years, Gold Rush fans have in the mining world under the watchful eye of his father, Tony. Beets, one of the most experienced and successful miners in the Klondike. But now Kevin is stepping out from his father's shadow and carving out his own path, and as he's quickly learning, owning and operating a mine is about a lot more than just moving dirt. One of the most defining moments in Kevin's journey came when he was forced to strike a deal with fellow miner and longtime family associate Parker Schnabel. What might have looked like a tough business transaction to outsiders was for Kevin a crash course in independence negotiation and leadership. Kevin's venture into mine ownership hit a major speed bump early on. His operation was relying on an aging a 40 rock truck, a machine more than 20 years old when it broke down in the middle of a critical phase of the season. It brought his entire site to a halt. Time was running out and Kevin didn't have many options. He turned to someone who had equipment and experience: Parker Schnabel. The two miners go back years, but this wasn't a social call. Kevin needed a truck and he had $100,000 to spend. Parker, however, had no intention of offering any sort of favor. Kevin accepted the deal not because he wanted to, but because he had to. Parker's only concession was allowing Kevin to delay payment until later in the season, with one very strict condition: the money was owed no matter what, even if the truck failed, even if Kevin's season tanked. This wasn't just a business deal, it was a heavy dose of real-world pressure. Kevin now had a financial obligation hanging over his head, and no one was coming to bail him out. For the first time, he was responsible for a debt tied directly to the success or failure of his own decisions. For Kevin, this marked a turning point. This shows I can make my own deals, he said. I don't always have to rely on Tony. Stepping out on our own, that's part of being the boss of a company. It's one thing to operate under someone else's umbrella, it's another to sign your name to a deal, risk your season, and live with the consequences. Deals like the one with Parker Schnabel might seem unfair on the surface, but for Kevin Beets, their real-life business training, the kind that no classroom or mentor can fully provide. Learning how to manage risk, make difficult decisions under pressure, and navigate negotiations with sharp business minds like Parker is shaping him into the kind of mind boss his father once was. In a world where every misstep can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, Kevin is gaining what many young leaders lack: resilience. These challenges, while frustrating and expensive, are proving that Kevin has what it takes to make it in the gold fields, not because everything goes right, but because he can adapt when everything goes wrong, becoming his own boss. More than anything, this chapter in Kevin's mining career is about becoming his own man. Working alongside Tony taught him how to run machines and manage crews, but going head-to-head with Parker Schnabel taught him something deeper: how to stand on his own in a high-stakes business. Parker may have had the upper hand in their deal, but the experience gave Kevin more than just a truck. It gave him a reminder that mine ownership is earned, not inherited. Every tough call, every setback, and every hard-won ounce of gold is a step toward becoming a leader in his own right. Kevin Beets isn't just running a claim, he's learning what it means to own it, and that's a lesson no one can put a price on. Parker Schnabel also demonstrated his sharp business instincts and years of mining experience throughout the transaction with Kevin Beets. While Kevin approached the deal with urgency and limited options, Parker remained calm, calculated, and firmly in control. He didn't let personal history cloud his judgment and quickly assessed the situation to his advantage, offering an older truck at a premium price and refusing to budge on negotiations. His ability to stay focused on the bottom line, set firm terms, and still close the deal without emotion reveal just how seasoned Parker is when it comes to navigating high-stakes decisions in the mining world.